Here I am at a PMI website. I want to follow the whole step so that you can pick up and explore yourself as well. So here you have a section called certification. You can go here and then you go for PMP area. So under certification on your PMI website, you can find PMP section. Here you can find all the details related to PMP certifications. Now, we are primarily interested in exploring something called exam content outline. So if I click here, I can open up a PDF document which explains the whole content of PMP exam. So rather than me making presentation out of it, I am focusing on reading the exam content outline along with you so that we can have a clear-cut understanding of what is involved in PMP certification. So this particular document tells about PMP thing. It is saying that the exam which is updated since January 2021 is following the PMP exam content outline. This one. Now, another important factor. Many of your colleagues might have done PMP certification 3 years ago, 4 years ago, before 2021. And they might have memorized PMBOK, they might have memorized processes, they may have mastered a lot of calculation skills, and they may come and guide you and tell you, you need to do all this in order to get PMP exam. Now, it might be true for them before 2021, but it is no more true. So for taking advice, please take the advice from the people who have recently done it. Many times people who have recently done it also have taken advice from the past, and they continue that trend where they keep preparing from PMBOK and keep memorizing the processes, but those things will not come in the exam. If someone has done exam recently, you ask specifically, okay, what kind of thing you got from your PMBOK 6 or PMBOK 7 learning in the exam. Just don't tell that you prepared using that, but what was the correlationship between that preparation and the PMP exam, and probably you will get the answer. So the PMP exam is based on something called exam content outline, which is in front of you. This exam content outline explains first the purpose of this exam content outline. So they are saying that PMI follow a ANSI standard, which is like here. And as per this standard, the institutes who are conducting some role-based exams, they need to continuously align their content with what is happening in the industry. So they call it, the role delineation study, RDS, and that should be they explore something called job task analysis. So in a simple word, periodically, PMI has a third party doing it. You have this Apple Alpine testing solution to develop this whole thing. But overall, periodically they involve in understanding what is happening in a project management area. They understand what kind of skills and competencies are needed. And based on that, they create PMP exam content outline. Now, they are also explaining here that there is a difference between updated exam content outline and PMI's project management body of knowledge, any version, 6 and 7. So we can say there are differences, and the people who were doing this role study, they were not limited by what is there in PMBOK. They can pick up anything which is relevant in the industry. So we can say that yes, PMBOK has a good ideas, but it does not necessarily covers all the exam content outline. That's what they are explaining. Now somebody will say, okay, then what is exam content outline? Let's get into the details. So in a summary level, they are saying that PMP exam, as we learned about talent triangle, is divided into these 3 areas, or they call it 3 domains: people, process, and business environment. And here they are also explaining that your exam will have 42% coverage for people, 50% coverage from process domain, and 8% coverage from business domain. So this is how your questions will be mapped in the final exam. Now, here they have a clear explanation also about agile and non-agile. They tell half of the examination will be representing predictive project management approach, and other half will be representing agile or hybrid approaches. Now, here it becomes a little tricky. We can say, yes, the process domain is 50-50, but many times the ideas which are associated with people domain, they are difficult to differentiate between predictive and adaptive. We don't want to say that, when you follow predictive life cycle, you become directive leader. And when you are following adaptive life cycle, you become a supportive leader or consultative leader. So usually the people management practices are pretty much common, and they are more aligned to the modern way of working with people, and many times they look very agile in nature. And that's why many times people feel around 70% of the content was agile influenced. Yes. So people content and process content, 50% of the process content will have agile. And in general, they are saying 50-50. But usually, if you align more as a management style of people, you can say, if I understand people section and if I understand agile, I probably will cover 70% of my PMP exam preparation. So that's a little detailing about this particular breakup from here. Now, if we go further, so this is like first three domains: people, process, and business. Now, what these domains represent? These domains are further divided into set of things which project manager is expected to do. They are saying tasks. So they are saying that based on our research, we have figured it out. The project manager should be able to handle such kind of task when it comes to people, way of working with people, such kind of task when it comes to process area or way of working, and such kind of things when we are focusing on business part of the work. So these tasks, like for an example, manage conflict. You should be able to interpret conflict, analyze it, recommend how to resolve it. You should have ability to handle conflict. Yeah, that, so you can say there will be 3-4 questions which will be testing project manager's ability to handle conflicts. And if you don't perform well there, your task one score will be less. They do produce a detailed report after PMP exam where you can see a task-wise report as well. But on summary level, they give you reporting only at a domain levels. But both the content is, the information is available at the end. Like you should be able to lead the team. For example, you should be able to create a better team performance. You should be able to empower team members and stakeholders. Now here they are not saying in adaptive you should empower them, and in predictive you don't have to empower them. So usually the people domain ideas are more aligned with servant leadership, more aligned with facilitative way of working, more aligned with the team empowerment, more aligned with mentoring and training your people so that they are more capable. So developing people, building them as a whole holistic team, aligned team, taking care of the problems team might be facing, overall supporting the idea of negotiating the project agreement with the vendors outside and inside. So working with the collaborative way of working, collaborating with various stakeholders, ensuring the stakeholder has a common understanding about the project delivery. So such kind of things. Yeah, so it is not about a particular memorization of 20 concepts and we will come. Even if you memorize the concept, ultimately those concepts you should be able to apply. Okay, how do I engage virtual team? Now, you may know that there is a communication management plan which can be used to engage virtual team, but your goal is not defining communication management plan. The question will be coming, how do you engage with a virtual team? How do you engage with the stakeholder? And how do you use communication management plan probably to get that engagement? Or how do you use probably a daily stand-up or a sprint retrospective to get a continuous engagement and reflection? So all those things are mean, but the goal is I need to do these kind of tasks. Now, similarly, we have a 14 task in a people domain. We have a 17 such task in a process domain, which are helping us to do a process related work. Now, what is the difference between people and process? Interesting. People domain work is something, as a project manager, you are talking to another human being before you get things done. So you are engaging with either team or a stakeholder and you are doing something there. You are talking to people. Process is something like you might be sitting on your work desk and creating something. You might be doing some analysis. You might be preparing a report, weekly report. You might be preparing a presentation. You might be preparing some kind of communication. So that's a process. You follow steps. Yeah, you follow a process of reporting, process of recording, process of escalating. Those all, like risk identification and documenting of it, is a process domain work. So usually if I'm working with my machine, I'm in a process space. If I'm working with the human beings, I'm in a people space. So that's a kind of task we can think of. So we are appreciating the PMI is saying just working with a machine is not going to give you success. You need to work with people, 42%, and that's why you are focused there. Yeah. Then here you will see all those kind of process related things, which are more document oriented. And yes, we will talk about, say, when we focus on requirement, we will focus on predictive way of doing requirement learning like scope document. We will also focus on learning adaptive way of doing requirement like user stories. So we need to learn both the approaches of doing things when it comes to the processes. So I end up learning how to do scheduling using critical path, how to do scheduling using time boxing. Both of them is expected to be understood by me in order to become a good project manager, because we learn that PMI is focusing on the person who declares himself PMP should be able to work productive, adaptive, and hybrid ways of working. And that's why they want to test your competency in all these areas. And that seems to be a very rewarding thing also for professionals because they end up learning various ideas. So this all 17 tasks around process domain. And then finally, we have a business domain, which comes towards the end, which is more focusing on, do you know what are you doing? What is your end outcome? How do you ensure the business value really get delivered? Do you have an understanding of a business value of your product or solution? So things which makes me aware of my external environment, internal environment, and what is the purpose behind the project, and ensuring that I keep eye on the purpose rather than I just focus on the deliverables alone is the business domain. Less focused, 8% only, because I may not be driving it, but I'm involved. I'm working with the stakeholders who are probably driving it, but I need to make sure that I have a fair understanding of business, else my stakeholder will not understand my language and I will have a difficulty in earning stakeholder collaboration. So this is how we can say the overall boundaries of PMP certifications are defined by way of creating 3 subgroups out of a big content outline: people, process, and business, and each area divided into set of activities. And we have 14 tasks under people domain, 17 tasks around process domain, and 4 tasks in the business domain. These 35 tasks are more important when you are focusing on PMP certification. Yeah.